Rural Heritage on RFD TV is brought to you by Rural Heritage Magazine, a bi-monthly magazine featuring articles about farming and logging with draft animal power, small-scale diversified family farming and homesteading, and other aspects of our rich rural heritage. Rural Heritage Magazine, borrowing from yesterday to do the work of today. For subscription information, please call 319-362-3027 or order online at www.ruralheritage.com. Hi, I'm Joe Mishka with Rural Heritage. I'd been reading about Jared and Linda Phillips' farm in northwestern Arkansas for a number of years and finally got a chance to meet them earlier this year. The couple works to preserve the cultural, historical, and agricultural roots of the land where they live, championing that cause through teaching, establishing cooperatives, networking, and practicing what they preach.
So mostly our farm, we raise sheep and hogs is what we do. And
all
so
right.
in the sheep, we raise lamb, we'll sell some. We have, well, it's growing daily right now.
Right.
We have 46 ewes in the breeding flock, one ram. There's a couple of yearling ewes that are out there that'll join the breeding flock this fall. And so we sell direct to customer, and then we'll sell to restaurants here and there, and we sell to a local food store, So
you're doing more than just running your own business. You're talking about something bigger.
Yeah.
Revitalization.
We're one of the reasons why we farm. Like everybody, these days in particular, especially if you farm with horses, you don't farm for the money.
Right.
You farm because you love it, and we do love it. But we're really interested in how we live well in place, and what that means. And so, we think a lot about what can the Ozarks handle. What have they handled historically, and then what is a good way forward as we're asking questions about the increasing price of farmland, people wanting to get into farming, the increasingly prohibitive cost of tractors and tractor implements. So, historically we had a lot of draft animals until the end of the 1960s, and then we lost them all.
Right.
We kept them longer than a lot of other places did.
Okay.
And so, we think for small farms and medium farms that we think horses are a viable way for small scale, mid-sized producers like us to do it, And so we cut most of our hay with the horses. We pull out our firewood. We do farm work, so we do hay. We cultivate corn and sorghum and stuff like that. And then we do our homesteady stuff too, right? So we do our garden and bring our firewood in and stuff like that with them. And then we try to get out into the community. And so we haven't with this team, but prior teams, we've had them in parades, and we'll take them out and do community events. We'll go down to one of the local historic centers and turn the sorghum press and that kind of stuff.
So you do outreach too, basically, and invite people here to see what's
Yep.
going on.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yeah, that's what we do. So, yeah.
Awesome. We now have 4 volumes of America's Rural Yesterday books with photos of farm life 100 years ago. Fieldwork has images of horses in the fields working the ground, planting and harvesting the crop. Barn and Farmyard shows farmers putting that crop in the barn, silo, or corn crib and caring for poultry, hogs, cattle, and more. In At Home and in Town, farm families prepare Sunday dinner, relax in the parlor, drive to town by buggy or wagon, and visit the general store. Finally, Early Tractors has over 250 photos of early American tractors like Alice Chalmers, Oliver, John Deere, Farmall, Minneapolis Moline, and many more. These photos are of new tractors back in the day and show how they were configured coming out of the factory. Buy any of these books for $24.95 plus shipping. When you buy 2 or more, the price per book goes down, all the way to $17.49 per book when you buy all 4. To order, just call 1-877-647-2452 or order online at www.ruralheritage.com. That's 877-647-2452.
There's a big nonprofit out of California called Fibershed.
Okay.
And they do regional affiliate programs, and so we affiliated with them last summer and made the Ozark Fibershed. So right now we're just getting it up and going, and I'm finding that through shearing, it's helping me put all the pieces together of our regional fiber system and see who's doing what where in a way that I really didn't know before, which is fun.
Okay.
So I've only been shearing for about a year, but we're starting our 2nd season and trying to figure out, basically the big question of what we're doing is, what would a healthy, robust regional fiber system in the Ozarks look like. That's what some people are doing, and I would be interested in that.
No, I'm
yeah.
sorry. Is wool become industrialized to that point where it's corporate? You know what I mean?
Yes, in a way, if you can even describe our wool industry as that healthy and that robust.
All right.
So basically, the U.S. wool industry has been nearly non-existent for the last 70s, 60s, I guess.
That's why I don't know anything about this.
Yeah.
It's gone. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So because we don't have we don't have what I see as a sensible system around imports.
Sure.
We are getting wool incredibly cheaply from Australia and New Zealand.
Okay.
So American wool producers can't compete. So yeah, the answer in my mind is regional systems.
Yeah.
And the same way that we have had the conversation, for the last couple decades about a food shed and your local food system, I think that we're heading in the direction of where we need to talk about our clothing miles too,
Yeah.
and our
Right.
regional fiber systems. So that's what we're looking at. All we're doing so far is we're making a directory and a website to connect producers and craftspeople and people all along the fiber supply chain. But we're just kind of scoping it out, seeing what our region could support, seeing what people are interested in, and we'll just go from there.
And there's a successful model in California?
Fiber Shed's been around for at least a decade now. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
They are doing some pretty cool stuff. They're really well connected with wool producers there. Every single part of the supply chain from field to garment within a 100-mile radius.
Wow.
And they're kind of the flagship, the model program. But different fiber sheds around the country that have affiliated with them are doing all kinds of different things. So there might be a group doing, native plant dyeing, to where they're, exploring different fiber dyes with what's native to their areas and doing a project on that. Or there's some people breeding different strains of cotton, and it's not just wool; it's all natural fibers. All kinds of stuff. And that's the whole thing, isn't it? Like small to mid-range producers don't have a spot in our national agricultural conversation. Right. So there's power in cooperating.
Yeah, so about an hour or so, hour and a half from where we're standing right now is the headquarters for Walmart.
Right.
And then maybe 40 minutes from here is the headquarters for Tyson. So two of the largest players in the destruction or the harming of rural towns in America, at least, are here. And so we also, we farm the way we do for the reasons we were talking about earlier, but also we do it a little bit as an act of defiance, because we think that the ways that our grandparents farmed mattered, and the towns that they grew up in and the towns that they fought for, literally, to be a little melodramatic, in World War II mattered, but also the towns that they advocated for quietly in their own ways, their whole lives, and they mattered, and they're being in places like ours, this isn't just happening here, but everywhere across rural spaces, kind of globally, these customs and ways of being and ways of thinking about community regardless of politics, community regardless of religion, community regardless of gender, all of the big questions of our time, they go away before community. How do we live in community well, right? And in the past we haven't done it well, and so we don't want to idolize the past, but there are a lot of really strong lessons that we think need to be kept, and horsepower, small economies, medium economies, I think are critical to that. I think they're critical as humanity has to figure out how do we live with 11 billion people on the planet, how do we live in climate change. I think it's critical, and I think horses, this older mode, be it horse farming or reconnecting our fiber economy locally, I think are critical to that, and I think that there's good data that supports that as well. So Rick Thomas, who runs the Sterling, or is part of the leadership team for the Sterling program out there, he's one of our people when we have a question about the horses, we call Rick, and so, and then, we've gotten sheep out in Henry County, and so we've gotten to know some of the folks out there before, and the legacy of Wendell and Tanya cannot, in the work and the kind of things that we're talking about here, their legacy cannot be understated. It can't be overstated. It's huge, and so I think inevitably we end up quoting something from Wendell at some point
I mean,
some
he
kind
saw the dangers so early.
Yeah.
He was the prophet, wasn't he?
canary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
And nobody heard. Kind of like Ralph Nader with the Volkswagen.
Right.
Just it's too early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too early.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And I think my worry about sometimes, and this is maybe a little bit situational for us because of, or like context, because of who we're so close to, is that you can have people that are beating the drum to protect these things, because we've had people before us who were trying to do that here, but sometimes the that onslaught of corporate systems comes on so hard and fast, and they bring with them a bunch of people that help them out, who are well-meaning people. They want to feed their families and have a job, and they're good people, but it quickly overwhelms. If you advocate for a slower, quieter mode of existence, and everything around you is really loud and fast, you get overwhelmed.
out.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Well, we have a neighbor of ours. He's one of the last full big dairies in the county. Like everywhere, dairy is dying. Here. And we are wildly different, and a lot of how we think about life. Except we are like, we live in the same community, we share work, and he takes care of us more than we take care of him, just to be honest. But when we agree that like there's a lot of this stuff that needs to be fought for, and even if we're fighting for the same thing, even if we have different reasons for doing it.
Right.
And figuring out how to have that conversation, so we can stay in that community of work together, is important. Their primary job is pulling a hay mower. That's what we do a lot of. We do all those other things. We don't plow a ton. You're never going to see us at a plowing competition. We have no business doing that. We're very bad at plowing.
True.
And we don't plow enough to ever get good at it. And so, we skid firewood. I went and worked with Roy a couple weekends ago, and it was a lot of fun. Because we brought the horses, and I watched proper logger with horses get on it, because we just skid firewood. It's nothing fancy.
And he probably enjoyed using the horses again.
Oh yeah, he had a
it's
great
fun.
time. Yeah, and but what we do, the Ozarks, when we, in the 70s and 80s, we became livestock, is what we became. We went away from most cropping and we run, cattle and sheep and hogs, and then really mostly just cattle now. For the longest time, and I don't know if it's still the case, but up and through the last agriculture census, the county we're in right now, Washington County and Benton County, had more cows per capita than any other counties in the state of Arkansas.
Really?
Yeah, and the Ozarks, generally speaking, especially up in Missouri, we're some of the highest production counties in beef cattle in the country.
Because it's good pasture ground.
Because it's good pasture ground, right? And one of the secrets to our temperate climate, we have good growing seasons. We can grow grass for 3 seasons out of the year.
Right.
And then, honestly, kind of the blessing and a curse of Tyson is chicken litter. There's lots of ample free fertilizer, and that's on the one hand it helps you produce good pasture, but on the other hand the state of Arkansas is in the middle of a lawsuit with the state of Oklahoma over water quality in a river that we share, and so it comes with its own set of challenges, right?
Nothing's free.
Right, nothing's free. And so what we find, like they're big because we're not row croppers, we're not market farmers, we don't grow a market garden. We cut a lot of hay, and so that's what we see. So that's the work that we're in right now, is kind of fitting them back up for that, and I'm tearing apart hay mowers and getting ready for the season. So we've been at this farm for we've been living here for 2 years. We've been doing stuff on it for about 4.
Okay.
And then we were on another farm beforehand, which we still own a little bit of. But we have some ground that's dedicated hay ground, and then we have some ground that's a mixture. Sometimes we have stock on it, and sometimes we don't. It just kind of depends on what's going on. Like any animal, like any grazing animal, if you leave them too long, they'll tear it up. But if you're willing to rotate, and kind of use some of those basic principles that are not new, just they kind of are popular again, then they do a good job. So we have a few pastures that since we've been rotating on them, we can tell the difference in the grass stand and the grass quality and the kinds of grasses that are coming in. And that's just in a couple of years of very rudimentary. We're not experts on it. There's so many people that are so much better at us at it than
sheep,
we are.
Cattle, pigs.
Pigs, yep. The pigs live in the forest, so we don't pasture our pigs. They're out in the timber.
Really?
Yeah, and so we have about 25 acres of mixed hardwood forests that we also have, and so they live out there. And
you supplement their feed out there? Yeah.
Yeah, we have to,
Right.
for hogs to keep their diet up. And so right now we have a bunch of large blacks, which are probably the most personable hogs we've ever had. They're super friendly, almost too friendly. And so, but we So that's, and we rotate them through lots in the forest. So we basically will have one set of hogs will have one lot, and then the next set of hogs will get another lot. That way it keeps the forest healthy and helps beat down all the extra undergrowth and stuff, and lets grasses come back in and helps to rejuvenate that
How many
area.
acres do you have here?
On this farm we have 67 acres.
Okay.
Yep.
And about evenly split between woods and yard and field and that kind of thing?
It's about a third woods and about 2/3 pasture.
Okay.
Yep. And then the yard sometimes becomes pasture.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
On purpose and sometimes not on purpose.
Right. Yeah.
that's right.
Usually not on purpose. Usually it's
Right.
like, oh, the sheep are out. Great. Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever made it up to the Rich Hill sale?
No.
We're getting ready. So we have a really strong. So one of the things we found, there's not like a ton of guys that are still running draft stock around here.
Right.
And so we kind of had to. We did what you probably should never do, and that is we had some people that were able to teach us how to harness years ago when we first started all this, and then we kind of had to teach ourselves. And we had a team of halflingers that was a chore. They were lovely horses. It would have been great if we'd known what we were doing.
Okay.
And then we,
Kind of the old style halflingers?
yeah. And then we got a hold of a team of Belgians that were half retired, and so that they were probably our best teachers, you know.
Right.
And then that's when we, not long after that's when we got to be friends with Rick Thomas, and then Facebook, that draft animal network community, all the, Don Hughes and all those guys, like that's Norm McNair and all that. That's been huge for us.
Those are my heroes.
Oh man, yeah.
Terrific. They want other people to succeed.
Yeah, well, and that's I think a thing about the ag community that is even a little different from just kind of rural communities, is it doesn't really matter, for the most part, it doesn't, come back.
Hi, I'm Joe Mishka of Rural Heritage Magazine. I'm on location of one of the many events we cover that celebrates our rural heritage. If you enjoy our show, check out our magazine, where you'll learn more about the people that blend the past with what works today. You can save almost 20% off the newsstand price by subscribing at ruralheritage.com or chat with us at 877-647-2452. That's toll-free, 877-647-2452.
Deb. So I'm a historian by training, and then by past career, my wife and I worked abroad. We worked in China and Guatemala in community and rural development work. And so I actually, right now, I teach on human rights and rural development, international agriculture. And then I'm getting ready to move back into the history department and teach sort of history proper again, which is nice, because that's kind of my first teaching love is history. I like telling stories, and so you can do that a lot better. We met here in Arkansas. We were working at an outdoor sporting goods store together, and we met and got to know each other over a few years, and then got married and worked abroad for a long time, and came home, and I went to graduate school, and she finished school, and we decided that we're both from here. We're both like six generations back here in the Arkansas hills. Yeah. So when we talk about like our places we're fighting for, we've got, we're also talking about like the cemeteries where kinfolk are buried. We come from rural stock. I mean, period. Like,
So you're persistent.
yeah, we come from families that have always had to make do. We come from families that understand, like you support each other, even if you don't agree or even always like each other, you support each other, right? And that's made all the difference. It's one of the reasons when we finished school, we were trying to decide if we were going to go back and keep working internationally, and we just were like, we just decided we love our place too much, and we'd been gone enough, and
Right.
it was
You did
time.
your bit.
Yeah, it was time to be back and we do with
You're
something.
doing it here, what you were doing there.
Right. This is what I was going to say. We talk about this a lot. It's like all the stuff that we were doing abroad, we do it here, you know. And,
Right, you go over there to save the world, and the world's falling apart here too.
right.
In a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, and you need people to do both. You need people that can go and work abroad. You need people that can go and come back, and people just to stay. You know, that's how we do. That's how we get better as a community, right? Go global community. And so, yeah.
I think.
Yeah, that's it, bud. Bring it all. You got it. This is the oldest. He's 11, and he's
Doing great.
He's a good hand. He's
Yeah.
driving the hay truck and doing all the stuff with us. So yeah, this is our hogs. So we have a sacrifice pin here because hogs are so kind of rough.
You call it sacrifice because you're kind of giving up the ground.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it won't be like this forever. In about a year, we'll probably build another one off of it, and then we'll reseed it and let it kind of grow. Yeah. And then, so we go until it falls off into the creek, basically. And so the hogs are out there in about 1 acre, 2 acres of timber. We had a bunch of hogs in this acreage here, which you can see all this green grass growing in.
Yeah.
That wasn't there before because before it was all bramble. Most of the Ozarks were on like our 3rd or 4th regrowth of forest. We've been forested hard and heavy. And if it was flat and you could get to it, especially in the late 19th, early 20th century, man, everything was gone. Everything was taken. But what that means is a bunch of trash is kind of growing back up.
Right.
And so we use the hogs as a way to help clear this stuff out. So I've got a bunch of trees painted. I'm going to come through here in a couple of weeks and cut to open the canopy.
Yeah.
And let it kind of come in. And this is our first time with this breed of hog, and they've actually grown a lot faster than we expected.
What are they called?
They're large blacks. So we got to figure out if we can get an earlier slaughter date. Easy, back. Hey, whoa, Teddy, whoa. Yeah, we have a couple of Pyrenees that roam, they're just kind of free. And then we have one like Akbash walking mix who stays, when we're not lambing, he's with the flock, but he's young, and so we've pulled him out, walking. So we've pulled him out, and he's over here with these yearlings that are.
And that's a big white dog too.
Yeah,
Okay,
right over there, yeah.
And you have enough to...
I need to get a few more hay bales, and then we'll go back to the barn.
Okay.
Come, G. Easy now, come, G. Come, G. Easy. Ha. Whoa. Oh no. Back. Nice chore time. Hey.
4 new lambs.
4 new limbs.
4 new lambs.
So we're gonna do that.
Twins. Two sets of twins.
Wow, neither one of y'all. So yeah, brand new twins. 2 sets there. Oh, and aren't they great? Yeah, so these are 2 little Cheviot lambs. Yeah. All right.
This program is available for purchase. To order your copy, please call 319-362-3027 or visit www.ruralheritage.com. Rural Heritage is a bi-monthly magazine dedicated to draft animal farming and logging, as well as other aspects of our rich rural heritage. It is published by Mishka Press, which also offers a complete line of Back to the Land books, DVDs, and calendars. Call or write for a catalog or subscription information, or visit our website at www.ruralheritage.com.